Today I want to talk about mistakes. And the power that they have in success in the long run. I'm talking kind of specifically about my business. That this is not enough time or space on YouTube for my own personal fuck-ups, but excuse me. For those of you who don't know, I am Spencer Phipps. I am the founder of the modern American heritage brand Phipps, which I founded 6 years ago. On paper, we've had a lot of markers of success. We've been part of the LVMH Prize in 2019. We've been worn by celebrities. We've worked with some of the best retailers around the world. We're a finalist in this year's CFDA Vogue Fashion Fund, which is a huge deal. And a lot of that, on paper, yeah, it would say that we've had successes, but behind the scenes, it's been a real struggle. And it's not something that people really talk about. Earlier this year, I've almost shut down the business like a whole bunch of times. Like a handful, really, like half a dozen at least. At one point we had a factory that totally fucked up our production and was super late, and it caused all these stores to drop their orders, and my whole infrastructure fell apart. Yeah, I had a moment where I was like, this is it. This is the end. I'm out. But I stayed in the game for whatever reason, and here we are. Here we are months later, and I'm really glad that I did. The future is very much uncertain, but I just try and take it day by day, ultimately. There's a way that people present themselves, specifically in the fashion industry, but even just in general online and in business and kind of just in life, is you present as successful. You really, you put your best foot forward and you show your next amazing collection. You act like you're the next big thing. You kind of show that you're selling and you're really cool, and you make, fun stuff that people like. I don't know. I think anyone who started a brand and a business really understands the struggles that go behind the scenes. And, if I was starting the whole thing again, which I actually don't wish. I think it took me this long to figure this shit out, but that's part of the journey. But if I was going to start the thing again tomorrow, there's definitely a few things that I would have done differently. So here's 5 things that I wish someone had taught me before I started this business. The first one is to really understand the power of social media. I think I would have probably spent a couple months or longer really coming up with a very strategic plan for social media. Really, in this day and age, it's free, it's easy, it takes a lot of thought and a lot of work, but I think when I started the brand, I was under the impression, I came from a very long history of working for bigger brands, brands that were founded in the 80s that had already established themselves, that really didn't need modern technology to grow. They were already there. So I was following examples of things that were a bit outdated. Yeah, I think I was very guilty of simplifying it and thinking, we just shoot a nice image and put it on the internet and people will like it. And I think these days it's much more than that. People want community. They want a sense of entertainment. They kind of want a lot more communication involved. And I think I could have been a little bit more strategic in that. Now I'm 6 years in the business and I've realized the error of my ways. And this video is me kind of making up for lost time. The next one is kind of a hard one for me to talk about. It's really, don't listen to the wrong people. Now, that's easier said than done. It's how do you know someone is the wrong person? I think ultimately you do know. You've got that feeling. Your intuition tells you that there's a certain red flags and there's certain things about someone that maybe makes you think you don't necessarily trust their opinions. I do it all the time. I'm sure everybody does. But I'm going to tell you a story. When I started the brand, we were a couple years in, we'd had a bit of momentum and we'd had a good amount of visibility and we're growing in sales every season, really doing very well at the beginning. And I had some advisors that I was working with that were very well established in the fashion landscape, really well experienced, and people that I really trusted their opinion. And they recommended this guy who as someone to come on as like sort of a CEO, like business manager. And he had come in to the fashion industry and built up this one brand very quickly to be like, they were doing 100 million in sales after the first year or something. And he was looking for a new gig. And would I be interested? And of course, someone can do that with my brand. Like, of course I would say yes. And these people knew what I assumed was more than me. They were smarter, and they knew the industry, and they knew what I needed more than I knew what I needed for myself. So I brought this guy on, and within 3 months, he had basically destroyed everything and wanted to change every single thing. He wanted to change the logo. He wanted to change the entire structure of the brand, everything down to the computers that we wanted to use. I mean, it was like crazy. So we had to get rid of him real quick. And yeah, I fired him rather unceremoniously and just, have been digging ourselves out of that hole. We immediately lost sales once he came in. I saw a turnaround like it was night and day. And yeah, that was a real lesson for me. That was a real wake-up call that, like, nobody really knows what your vision is more than yourself. And don't let anybody, take you off that path. You can take advice from people if you trust them, and if it's the people that you really want to be involved in the brand. Sure, you can take suggestions. You can definitely be open to it. But ultimately, it's your vision, and you should trust your own instincts with these things. And if somebody doesn't rub you the right way, then get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That leads me to my next point, which is I think I wasn't listening to my customer well enough. In the beginning, I was making clothes that were maybe a little bit less specific. I wasn't as clear with the brand vision, I think, or doing things that I thought were really nice, but maybe weren't as applicable to the people that I really wanted to dress in my stuff. And over the years, I've really worked on building up a relationship with my clients and really understanding what they need, what they want, what they are looking for in their lives. Not that I need to only focus on doing things that they want, or just, I'm giving up all of my vision just for these people. But it's kind of this tug of war where you want to really understand who very, very specifically your customer is. At this point, I know exactly who these guys are. A lot of them have even become like really good friends and people that I have a very personal relationship with. So it's good to have these people around because they're able to really guide my design process, and I have a sounding board of people that are actively looking for these things, So, again, you don't want to give them things that they just want. You can also understand them well enough that you can anticipate their needs and give them things that they didn't even realize they wanted. And that's a real skill. We've kind of expanded our sizing and adjusted products to suit the guys that really, wear our stuff. We sell a lot to like built dudes in their 40s. So it's a very specific demographic. I'll tell you another, little kind of personal story, which is the other day I was at the gym and this really nice guy who's a friend of mine there came up and he was telling me how he's got a new job and he wants to like have a shirt for his official portrait for his job. And if we had a short sleeve shirt that would fit him, and I realized that we don't. And that kind of bummed me out because this guy's cool and I want to be able to dress cool people. So you take that on board. Great. You know what? We should probably have like a short sleeve cotton collared shirt that would be a really nice kind of office-y, like day job kind of thing, which would totally fit our DNA of the brand. It's like, duh, why weren't we even doing that in the first place? So it was a really positive conversation that came out of it. And I think that's an important thing to do with your brand, is really understanding what your brand's purpose is and who you're trying to, be part of that community. Like, who are they? Very specific. Like, really, can you name 20 names of them? And not just like, oh, it's a celebrity. Like, no, these are real people with real money, with real lives that are doing stuff. And they're not just buying everything, So I think being as specific as you can and really understanding these people is an important one. The fourth point is something that I think a lot of young brands in fashion really are guilty of. I'm sure in other industries it's kind of the same, but it's like running before you could walk. Really acting bigger than we needed to and not taking the time to really develop like I've mentioned before, a solid product catalog that sells. And maybe that involves being quieter and developing a lookbook and, keeping the collection really tight and editing it and being really precise with the things you're doing. Whereas, 3 seasons in, I was doing Paris Fashion Week shows and doing these big collections and not really having the sales to back it up, but doing really strong image stuff that was going out to press and all this kind of thing. And we weren't ready for it. I was not ready at all to be doing these kind of things. I mean, I don't even have like videos of the first bunch of collections because I was too dumb to know how to do that by myself and too poor to be able to hire a video crew. So there's just no video of these things. That's like, what was even the point? You know what I mean? Like, we could have just sat down, really kept it low key, really focused on making product that was like really, really nice and less about presenting this image of success to the rest of the world. When I started the brand, I really thought there was like a checklist, but that's really not the case. And that leads me to my 5th point, which is understanding the freedom that you have as a brand founder. I mean, like I said, there is no checklist. And when I started the brand, I really thought that there was a certain list of things you do. You do a show, you do this, you do that, you sort of need to be in this store or that store, or your brand is completely invalid. And that's just like completely not true. There's no one way to do this. Brands are like people or like snowflakes or something. Everything operates completely differently, and you can do whatever the fuck you want. And nobody can tell you otherwise, I mean, there's just no right way. And the truer you can be to yourself and what feels right for your brand and for your customers and what they want, then at the end of the day, that's how you build a business. And it has nothing to do with comparing yourself to other brands. Just because that brand did this one project and they did a big Nike collab, then, oh my God, if I don't get a Nike collab, then what am I even doing? I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about. You might as well just tell your own story and do it how you need to do it with the means that you have to do it. I mean, at this point, like, I'm really focusing on doing the things myself and really building up a rapport with the clients and, posting on social media in my little way that seems to be working for now. And trying to have that real strong, real tight edit of stuff that's very efficient in terms of selling, and there is no playbook. So all of the mistakes that, I don't know, it's been a really weird journey because I've had to unlearn every single thing that I've been taught by my, decades of working in the industry, which is very, very hard to do. And I've made a lot of mistakes on the way. But look, at the end of the day, mistakes are inevitable. They're part of life. I mean, in business and your day-to-day life, like, shit's going to happen. And it's always a good opportunity to grow and learn from them and learn from your experiences and have them teach you to become ultimately successful. Because really at the end of the day, nothing really teaches success as well as failure. You're not going to make that mistake twice. Assure you. Or you will. And hey, then that's a bigger conversation to have. I definitely have done that. Anyways, look, I hope this video was helpful for you. And if it was, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We got more of these kind of things coming. And yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.